Hi everyone, it's Brenda here. I just wanted to make a little video for you as promised. Thanks so much for doing the BRAINCAM Intensive and BRAINCAM Foundations with me a week ago last Saturday. Believe it or not, that much time has gone past. So I only got two questions in and they were quite similar, and I would think that it's a question that everybody has. So it was around taking out a junior infant for BRAINCAM, and another one I think was senior infants and a senior infant child. So just to say that, yeah, we absolutely do take junior infants out for BRAINCAM. If you have another child to take out for BRAINCAM, I'm really, really conscious that you have to take children out within their pods now. What we used to do, we were able to take a child from senior infants, one from first class, one from junior infants. And really what's important about doing BRAINCAM in school is getting the mix of kids right, so that if you have a really, really bouncy child, out of sync child, a real chat, talker, putting two of those type of children together will not work. And if they don't get on in the yard, they're not going to get on in the BRAINCAM room. If they're picking at each other in the classroom, they're not going to get on in the BRAINCAM room. So they're a big no-no to take out together. But a child who's quite anxious and quite quiet usually works quite well with that child. Also, if the child is just really, really disruptive, they're chat, can't help themselves. And I know I do say, the rule is silence when we're in the BRAINCAM room. It takes a while for that child's brain to wind down. It could be weeks before you get that place to where a child is actually quiet, okay? So by all means, take the junior infant out and get him through as much of BRAINCAM as you can. If it's a case where he's already tiggerish and bouncy, you might want to just leave the A part, the A awakening, where we do the jumping jacks and jumping up and down and hopping and all of that. He may be actually fizzy enough and aroused enough, the brain's aroused enough, so you might want to ex-nay that. Just go straight into the B, where you go into the log rolls and then onto the prowling tiger and then onto the soldier crawling onto the net, and then the wobble cushion and the beam for those kids. And absolutely, I've taken loads and loads of junior infants across the beam, no problem. But what I'd say to you is get them to slow down, okay? The other thing is put enough air in the wobble cushion so that the child has to really go inside his head, and that should shut off the talking, okay? If the wobble cushion is hard enough where he's standing on it, don't even bother throwing and catching the ball yet, okay? If he's only a junior infant, that might not be a skill he has yet. And just take the ball while he's standing on the wobble cushion and literally just hold it. Just have him hold the ball. That's all you need to do. The most important thing is to get his brain challenged enough that he's able to stand on the wobble cushion without falling off, but keeping quiet at the same time, okay? So I think that was one question. Another question that I often get asked is, what happens if you bring a child or children into the room to do BRAINCAM and a child refuses to take part, okay? So this often happens, all right? And I've taken lots of kids through BRAINCAM myself and I've seen it. So what we do is we let them sit it out on their chair, okay? And every once in a while I'll say, do you want to join in now? Do you want to join in now? So we do the A and he wants no part of it. It could be a case that the child doesn't feel that he can do the exercises well and he doesn't want to look like a fool in front of the other kids. So just keep coaxing and encouraging him. When he sees the other children are enjoying it, there's a chance he might join in, okay? So just let him sit it out. Don't get into any, fight with him. Remember I said to make sure that you're calm before you go into the BRAINCAM room. So keep things as defizzed as you can, turn off the light. If there's blinds, you can bring them down a little bit just to shut off the light. But just keep inviting him once in a while to take part in the exercises. And even if he does one or two of them, that's grand. The major thing that the kids absolutely love, most of them by report, is the ball roll. And if you get nothing else but the ball roll done and the weights on the back and the blankets, happy days. Even if you just get that done for day one, week one, as long as it takes, that's absolutely fine. But the child has got to enjoy it, otherwise you're going to lose them. Okay, so that is the reluctant child. If you have a child who the problem again is the pods, taking them out in pods, because sometimes it can work well if you take an older child out and they try and keep up with the older child and they try to impress the older child. You know, sometimes that can work well, but that's obviously not going to be feasible given the current situation. So you're really relying on taking another child who does not have similar tiggerish behaviours out. Best time of the day to do brain cam is another question I often get asked. So we usually do brain cam first thing in the morning, or not just first thing per se. We usually let the children come in, get their little bags down, get the books out, get settled, coats put away, and at around 9:30, excuse me, we start bringing them out for brain cam. Now, it really depends on your timetable, what time you have, what other things you have in the day, when the teacher is okay with the child going out for brain cam so they're not missing anything particular. The thing about brain cam is that it becomes a must have. So if you can't get a child to settle and learn, you're wasting your time. So you're better off bring them out for the brain cam, get them cam focused, ready to learn, and then bring them back in where you'll get better quality learning from them, and they're less disruptive both to themselves, to the teacher, and to the other kids. So brain cam becomes a must have and not a nice to have, and the teachers, you know, twig on to that very, very quickly. But there are some cases where we've children who go out on yard and it completely fizzes them. They fall into the blue category. They're oversensitive and they tend to come really, really, really fizzed up and overloaded, overwhelmed by all the running around and the noise and the everything that goes on in yard. And in that case, you might want to bring that child through brain cam after break, because that's when they're at their most fizzy. Okay, we did have one incident where the SNA told me that she brought a boy out for brain cam the split second he came to the school because they could get nothing out of him, and brain cam settled him for the day, and then they took him out for some sensory breaks thereafter to keep pulling him back into concentration and settling him down and calming down his behavior. So there are incidents when that is the case, but really take your most dysregulated kids, make your timetable, which I hope you've done already. You've had a chat with your ASINO in the school or whoever's looking after the special ed kids. You don't necessarily need to have a diagnosis for the child, but it is useful. But you know, any child with something going on, do read your disclaimer to make sure that it's safe to take that child through brain cam. I did mention epilepsy and heart conditions as two things, and shunts and fluid in the brain as something else. Another question I get asked is, do I need a refresher course? So you did it with me Saturday week last. You shouldn't need a refresher. For about a year it'll be offered, so you're good to go. Just as Nike says, just do it. Okay. Another question I get asked is, can I do it more than once a day? Can I do brain cam more than once a day? So the answer is absolutely yes. We often have children from ASD units who you know, the curriculum isn't top of the pile of things. It's absolutely important, but getting them cam focused and ready to learn and resetting the concentration button is. So I do have staff who train with me from ASD units, and they will use brain cam 2 times, sometimes 3 times a day. They will bring the child through it. If a child has learning difficulties, you will find that they don't tend to get bored with the exercises. The higher functioning children in mainstream may get a little bit tired of doing the repetitive exercises, but it's up to you to make it a little bit harder as you go through it by putting a little more air in the cushion, maybe to give them a smaller ball. When you see that throwing and catching the soccer ball is too easy, you change it to a tennis ball to make it a little bit harder, and so on and so forth. So yeah, but you absolutely can do it more than once a day. Let me see, is there anything else? What happens at the end of the 4 blocks? So that's another question I get asked. So by the end of the 4 blocks, if you're bringing children through BrainCam and they're in mainstream, particularly any child from about the age of 7, 8 on upwards, they should feel what it feels like to be defizzed in their head, okay? And they should know what they need at the end of BrainCam to become self-regulated. So these are kids who will still need sensory breaks from time to time, but they should know that they need to roll over the therapy ball, or they need to bounce on the therapy ball, or they're able to self-regulate themselves, that they know what it is that they need to feel better because they've learned it through doing it in the BrainCam program. So but these are children who still need sensory breaks. This doesn't go away, it's still there. So the goal at the end of BrainCam, at the end of the 24 weeks, is that the child is able to self-regulate him or herself. For children who are in an ASD unit, particularly those who have moderate learning difficulties, it might take them a very long time just to learn the exercises. And in that case, it might take them the whole of 1 year to do block 1, the whole of the next year to do block 2, so on and so forth. So in an ASD unit for moderate learning difficulties, for some children, you might actually get 4 years out of the 4 blocks. So it really depends on the child's learning ability, okay? Will the child still need sensory breaks through the day? The answer for a very dysregulated child is yes. Okay, so let's say, for example, we take Jack out for BrainCam in the morning, okay, and he comes down the ladder of arousal. Remember, I showed you the ladder of arousal where we need them halfway down at the green line to be able to be calm, focused, and to be able to learn in school. So let's say Jack goes out for BrainCam 15 minutes with you at 10 o'clock, and he comes in calm, focused, ready to learn, and he's good to go. 10-15 minutes after a little break, he's starting to go off and get a bit fidgety and squirmy and get a bit tiggerish again. He'll need to go out for another break just out in the corridor to do some of the activities. So some of, red activities, I call them. So push-ups, planks, sitting against a wall, anything that challenges the muscles. For a red behavior, predominantly red behavior child, he may need, if he's really starting to fizz, tigger, bouncy back up again, he may need probably 2 or 3, sometimes 4 if he's extremely dysregulated, 5 to 10 minute sensory breaks scattered throughout the day just to keep resetting his brain concentration button. The other thing as well is that it's really important that the child have some accommodations in the classroom. So for example, if you have a child who's very, very squirmy, fidgety, movie, they might really benefit from the wobble cushion, not filled with so much air, but being able to sit on a wobble cushion in class. So that, maybe some quiet fidgets, and so on and so forth. So, BrainCam isn't the be all and end all. It is the big kahuna. It does go 3 layers deep into the brain, and it does have long lasting effects. But the child, his brain button needs to keep being gently reset a few times through the day, and there's nothing like a sensory breaks to do that. Okay, so I hope that that's answered most of your questions. There are many of the questions that I've been asked. Just to show you here that on my website, if you go to my website to the frequently asked questions section, you'll see these list of many questions that I've been asked in the past. So feel free to go to brendacassidy.com, go to the FAQ, frequently asked questions section, and that way you'll be able to read the answers to those FAQs, or you can listen to them. There's also a little button up here, right here, where you click on it and you can hear my voice speaking. If you don't want to read through everything, I will speak them out for you. So I would absolutely love to hear how you guys are getting on. If you got started on Monday. If you did, please be mindful that the first week is chaotic, okay? Some of these children who are dysregulated are even more dysregulated in the first week because they're doing something different with somebody different in a place they might never have been, in a room they might never have been before. So it can actually make them worse for the first week. I'd ask you to hang tight and hang tough and push on through, and you'll be able to see sort of midweek next week that they're starting to get into rhythm, starting to get into routine. It becomes almost like a ritual, almost like a and they look forward to it and they go out, and you'll really see them start hopefully to settle down. For some kids, very dysregulated children, really fizzy, very tiggery children, very chatty children, it might take them all the way through block 1. You could be halfway through block 2 or even block 3 before that switch clicks and suddenly their behavior changes. So stick with it, folks. And the rule of thumb I always say is, if the child is enjoying it, keep bringing them. Keep going, okay? They're getting something from it. And obviously their brain is defizzing, maybe for the first time in their whole lives. So stick with it, folks. Do get through the first week just with grit and determination. It's not easy, I know, and it is chaotic. But as you get used to it, as you get calmer, as they get calmer, as it becomes a ritual and it becomes routine, honestly, you will start to see the fruits of your labour. So hang tight. Drop me an email, brenda@brendacasty.com, or support@brendacasty.com to Caroline, and we will try to help you out any which way we can, okay? So I'd love to hear from you and how you're getting on, okay? So I hope that was helpful, and hopefully see you again soon. Take care.